am cherishing today, because this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Thanks for joining me as we sew a faith clutch. Be sure to download our free feature guide to help you choose the options that match your needs. The faith clutch comes with instructions for internal and external snaps. There are 2 templates for the exterior. When using any external snap option, it is best to use the alternate exterior. This keeps the accordion style zipper pocket upright. There are 4 pocket options. The zippered phone pocket, which is accessible without opening the snap, while the clear window allows you to utilize your touchscreen with the phone still in the pocket. The dual ID pocket gives you room for 2 IDs and 2 cards, with an additional full-length slip pocket for cash or various other items. Notice that a phone will fit in the slip pocket. The dual tri-card pocket gives you room for 6 cards and the additional full-length slip pocket. The ID tri-card pocket is a mixture, giving you an ID window, 4 card slots, and the additional full-length slip pocket. Now you just need to choose your favorite 2 pocket options. You can also add riveted D-rings or side connectors to make it a crossbody or wristlet. Now let's go through what we need. For this faith clutch, we're going to need our exterior and our interior, and we are reducing the bulk because we're using a domestic sewing machine and it makes it so much easier. So we're using the pattern template that has the fold cutouts. We're going to do the snap tab, so you need a standard snap tab and a mirrored snap tab, and then of course your snaps. We're going to also use a custom label, and we're going to add connectors for a crossbody. For the accordion zipper pocket, you need the exterior with your zipper cutout and the little slit. You need your back pocket, your accordion pocket, your zipper pull, and your zipper tape. For the phone pocket, you need the phone pocket lining, the phone slip pocket lining, the phone window, the phone accent, a zipper tab, zipper pull, and zipper tape. For the ID tri-card pocket, you need the ID window, the ID cover, and the card slot fabric. You also need the tri-card fabric. We're going to use the bulk reducing method, so you need your front piece cut in half, and then you'll need to use your bulk reducing pocket piece. We begin with our snap tab. You'll need both the regular snap tab piece and the mirrored snap tab piece. And we're going to use some double-sided tape to put them together. The double-sided tape is optional. I just like them being held in place so they don't slip and slide around. Then you match them up. And if you want, you can use clips to hold them in place. And then we're going to take them to the machine and we're going to sew around the perimeter of the snap tab. Remember, this is a top stitch length. When you get to the curves, you can hand crank it if it's easier. Now that we've sewn around the perimeter, we're going to take our snap tab template, and we're going to make a mark where our snap is to be placed. Then we punch our hole. And we set our snap. Now that our snap is set, we set this aside. Now we're going to work on the ID tri-card pocket. We begin with the ID cover and the ID window. We're going to lay the window right side up on top of the right side up cover. And then we are going to clip them together. This is just a temporary clip to hold them in place while we sew. Now we're going to take it to the machine and we are going to sew along the left hand edge with a 1/8 inch seam allowance. With the ID window sewn in place, we're now going to take our front panel piece, turn it wrong side up, and line around the window opening with some double-sided tape. Now we're going to remove the backing. And make sure that we center the window. Then we're going to clip this cover out of the way because we don't want to get it caught. And we're going to take it to the machine, and with it right side up, we're going to sew around the perimeter of the window opening. Again, being careful not to catch the cover in our stitching. We want to leave our threads long so we can use the top stitching and tail finishing technique. And you need to remember that this is a top stitch, so set your machine to your top stitch length. If you need to hand crank, always utilize that. Before I get all the way back, I like to reach under and pull my top thread to the back. Now we're going to make this top thread come to the back. Take all the threads and tie them together, making about 3 to 4 knots, as close as you can to as close and tight as you can, but don't pull the thread too tight. It can break on you. Now you can do a couple of things with this. You can take all of the thread, take a needle, and make it go here in between the window and the front part, or you can just cut it off and singe it. I like to take a needle, thread it into the center, and then cut it off. You're never going to see down here. So let's get a needle. I always thread my needle where I want it to be. And then put the thread through the eye. So 1 second. As you can see, I just put my threads through the eye. Now I'm going to pull it through, and these threads are now captured between there. And we can leave a little bit of a tail to avoid them unraveling if they're cut too close or anything like that. So let's cut them off here. And that's all you need to do for that. Now, before we let this cover go, we're going to take it back to the machine, and we're going to sew from this point to this point underneath this top line. So what I like to do is get some masking tape so that I can line up my stitching on the top and bottom of each. The top of the actual card slot line is not a necessary stitch, but I find that it holds everything in place and a lot flatter, and it gives you a lot cleaner look in the end. So some people choose to just back stitch at the beginning and end, but we're going to use the tail finishing and top stitching technique on each one of our card slots. So let's take it to the machine and sew from here to here. But first, we're going to apply some masking tape. I like to take it and match it up right with the edge of the little hole on both sides. And then you will start and stop your stitching right at the edge of the tape, and it'll keep it all lined up. Keeping the ID cover out of the way and keeping your tails long, start right at the edge of your tape underneath the bottom card slot. Be sure that it's a top stitch length. Okay, now we're going to turn it to the back, gently tug and pull our top thread to the back, and tie both ends. For these, I like to hide them behind the window over here on the sides. And you can sometimes pick up the edge and get it stuck under the double-sided tape that you put. And then just trim it. And same for this side. And we are going to be undoing this, so let's pull them over here. Now make sure that it's flat underneath. And now we're going to take this back to the machine and sew on top of this slot line. So we're going to start again here and there. We're going to leave our tails long. And I'm not going to do all of the thread tying here on camera. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over, and you see all of this excess up here? We're going to trim that off. We're going to take our double-sided tape And we are going to put a strip right underneath our top slot. Then we're going to have our card slot liner, and we're going to remove the backing of our double-sided tape. We'll put the liner right about the stitch line and stick it down. Then we're going to flip it right side up, and we're going to go to the machine and we're going to sew a top stitch line 1/8 inch below the top cut line. Okay, we've tied them off, and now we're going to measure from the bottom of the entire exterior piece up, and we're going to draw a line. From this line, we're going to take our double-sided tape and we're going to affix it right on, slightly above, but touching that line on top of it. Right there. Then we're going to fold this down, pull it nice and tight. You want it to be real nice and tight, and you're going to fix it to the DST. So let's take the backing off. Again, pull it nice and tight. And stick it to the DST. Now we're going to take this and we're going to fold it back up. And then we're going to fix it up here at the top. So let's put one more piece of DST at the top. Now we're going to pull it tight up, but don't pull it off of your DST. And there you go. Now, before you sew it, if you'd like to check it, you can always get a card and put it in there. Because we have tape on the little holes, it's going to be a little snug on the sides, but as you can see, it goes straight in. And it was a little bit crooked, the card was, so we're going to do it again. And there we go. So we're going to take this to the machine now, and we're going to sew one more row above the top cut line, holding this in place. Okay, now we finished this part. So now you turn it wrong side up, and you're going to put double-sided tape along the bottom edge of each of your cut slots. Then you're going to take your ruler, you're going to measure up from the bottom, and you're going to draw a line. Then you're going to take your double-sided tape and you're going to affix it just above, touching that line you drew. And you're going to put another piece right here at the top. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take this bottom backing off from the cut line. You're going to take the tri-card fabric, you're going to overlap it on that tape by about 1/4 of an inch. And you're going to stick it down. Then you're going to take this to the machine and you're going to sew from one edge to the other using your top stitching and tail finishing technique. Let's take it to the machine. Now you're going to remove the backing from the bottom. Fold this down taut. Remove the backing from below the middle cut line. Fold it up and affix. Now we're going to take it to the machine and we're going to sew along the top of the bottom cut line and the bottom of the middle cut line. Okay, now we've sewn those 2 lines. We're going to have it wrong side up. We're going to get our ruler, measure from the fold right here of this card slot, and draw your line. Then take your double-sided tape and affix it just above, touching that line you just drew. Remove the backing. Fold it down taut. Affix it. Remove the backing from below the top cut line. Fold it up. Make sure it's nice and taut. And then you're going to take this to the machine and you're going to sew above the middle cut line and below the top cut line. Now that we've sewn these 2 lines, we're going to get our ruler and our chalk pen. We're going to measure from the second fold. So measure it, mark it, get your double-sided tape, affix it, touching but just above the line you drew. Remove the backing, pull it down tight, remove the top backing, pull it up tight, and then we're going to take it to the machine and we're going to sew a line along the top cut line. Alright, now that we've sewn all of our card slots, now we can trim the excess from the top. Trim to the side. Okay. Now what we're going to do, because we're doing the bulk reducing option, we need to get our back pocket piece, our bulk reducing pocket piece, and you're going to lay them right sides together. line them up along the long edge and clip. If you're not doing the bulk reducing option, you'll fold it in half, right sides together, and top stitch along that fold. Then you can go ahead and skip on to your next pocket. If you're doing the interior snap, you also need to do that now. So we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to sew across this top long edge. Okay, now you're going to fold this back pocket up, the bulk reducing back pocket. You're going to fold it up and you're going to make a crease right at your stitch line. We are leaving the vinyl extended towards the top and we're going to fold this down over it. Do not fold the vinyl. You're going to make another crease. You're using that vinyl as your guide to make the crease for that pocket. And then we're going to take this to the machine. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple clips. And we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to sew with a 1/8 inch seam allowance right along in here. It actually should be halfway between. So just take it to the machine and top stitch. All right, this pocket is now complete. We can set it aside. The only thing you may want to do is, of course, maybe singe all your threads and around the outside edge. As you can see, it's a very thin option. This is a very big bulk reducer. It's only as thick as basically one piece of vinyl. So let's set that aside. The only pocket that you cannot complete before you do the exterior accordion zipper pocket is the phone pocket. So because we're going to be doing the phone pocket, we're going to now work on our accordion zipper pocket. You're going to lay your zipper tape with the left side here. You're going to want to angle it down, only the bottom left side. So you're going to take and measure over, make your mark, split this open, fold, pinch and fold right at that mark, and lay that fold against the zipper teeth. Then you're going to pin it or clip it together. And then you're going to baste right along this edge to hold it in place. Okay, now that we've basted this into a 90-degree angle, we now need to install our zipper pull. So we're going to take it, and the easiest way is to look at your teeth and how they line up. Right now, this one is on the top on the right-hand side. So you want to make sure that that one stays on the top in the right-hand side. You can see right now that that one's not going to be on top. So we want to push it up slightly, but not off, and push it down. And it went a little too far. So we're going to push it up just slightly. And as you can see, we are even. So we put our zipper tape, our zipper pull on. Now we're going to take the back pocket piece. The back pocket piece is the shorter of the two. Okay? So we're going to take the back pocket piece, and we're going to line up with this edge here. And then you want to clip it in place. We're going to take it to the machine and we're going to sew across this top long edge. And then where your back pocket is, you're going to measure just an 1/8 inch away. That's all you want, is 1/8 inch away from where the back pocket ends. And you're going to make a mark right by your teeth. Now you're going to move the back pocket out of the way, and you're going to sew back and forth over the teeth to make sure that you close them up and keep them from opening. And now we're going to trim the end. And then we want to be sure that we singe it. Okay. Now we're going to set this aside. We're going to lay the accordion pocket wrong side up with the long edges along the top and bottom. We're going to fold the top edge down, aligning it with the bottom edge. And then we're going to clip it in place. Let's go ahead and use this to all right. Now we got a good crease at our seam. And now we're going to top stitch right along this fold that we just creased. All right, we've got that top stitched there. Now we're going to take the zipper, open it up. We're going to lay it wrong side up with the 90-degree angle on the right-hand side. We're going to take our ruler, we're going to measure, and we're going to draw our line across the long edge of the zipper tape. After we've done that, we're going to take our double-sided tape. There we go. And we're going to affix it right along the line, between the line and the long edge of the zipper tape. You can move your zipper around to give you the best maneuverability. Now we're going to take the accordion zipper pocket and we're going to line it up along this edge here, right at the line, just touching it. And then the excess is going to be extending past the 90-degree angle. See? All right, now we're going to affix double-sided tape to both long edges here inside of the seam allowance. You're going to get your exterior piece and center this inside of here. You want about that much on the outside edge here. And you got to make sure that over here you have enough to be able to sew between the zipper teeth here and this slot. So that looks pretty good. And we're going to stick it down to the double-sided tape. We're going to flip it over here. As you can see, we're going to put just on the left side of this cut line, we're going to put another piece of double-sided tape. This just helps everything stay lined up exactly how you want them. With everything wrong side up, clip this back pocket up out of the way. That way you don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay? With the exterior right side up and the back pocket up and out of the way, we're going to top stitch with a 1/8 inch seam allowance from the bottom right corner of the zipper cutout right here, left, and then down, stopping at the bottom right corner of this side cut line. So start here, go to your left, come down, and stop right here. This is a top stitch, and we are using the top stitching and tail finishing technique. So leave your threads long. All right, so the bottom portion of the zipper is now attached to the exterior. What we're going to do is you're going to turn it over, and right at this stitch line, you're going to fold it. Make a good sharp crease. I'm going to move my pull out of the way. Okay, so you make a real sharp crease. Then you're going to take your ruler, measure over, take your chalk pencil, make a mark. And what I like to do is take a long clip and clip it right against the line. And then you take the fabric and fold it over that clip, just to keep it a nice straight line right where you want it. Then I take regular clips here and clip them like this. And we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to sew a top stitch, keeping everything else out of the way, just this fold from the top to the bottom, a 1/8 inch top stitch right along this fold. Now keep in mind, you're going to see both the bobbin thread and the top stitch thread, and it's going to be seen whenever you open the pocket. So you need to make sure that it's a nice, neat back stitch at the beginning up here, and that both sides look really nice. Let's go to the machine. Okay, remember, keep everything out of the way. And just a 1/8 inch seam allowance, really nice back stitch. Now that that's top stitched, we're going to take some double-sided tape and run it just along this edge here of the accordion pocket. The tutorial shows you a little bit different way, but it all works out the exact same. The tutorial has you measure from this side and then draw a line and put the tape, but if you put it right here, you're going to stick it down and it's going to work exactly the same. So let's take the backing off. Make sure your fold is nice and flat, and affix your accordion pocket. Then you're going to let loose the back pocket and fold it down. And you can clip this in place. You will have to move the clip on the slot side here whenever you go to actually sew. Now we're going to take it to the machine and we're going to begin. It doesn't matter which side you begin on, but you can begin at either one of the points you stopped on and then follow it up and around and down and over. So we're going to basically join up with our other points of the top stitching around the zipper tape opening. Now let's take it to the machine. Remember, this is the top stitching and tail finishing technique, so leave your threads long and we'll be right back. Make sure that your back pocket is down flat underneath. Okay. We have sewn around the entire perimeter of the opening for our zipper. Then we're going to take it to the machine and lift the exterior up out of the way. And we're going to sew down this side, all the way over and up as much as we can, and close off our zipper pocket. So let's take it to the machine. Now that we've closed up our pocket, you have a nice, cute little zipper pocket that's easy to access, opens wide so you can get in and out of it easy. You have a few things you need to do before you can set this aside. If you're using a personalized logo, you need to figure out where you want to put that. I've put them here, here, in the middle, something like that. Just figure out where you want to put it. If you are making this a crossbody, you need to figure out where your D-rings are going to go and actually kind of use some double-sided tape to put those in place where they're going to go, or how you're going to do that. If you are utilizing the zipper pocket that is in the middle of the bag, the bottom corners may actually stick out of the rounded curves, so you'll want to trim those. We don't have to do that on this version. And if you are using a exterior snap option, whether it's the flap or the accent flap or just the snap tab like we are, you need to install your snap now. So what you'll do is you'll take your pattern template and you will place your pattern template over it. Make sure you follow which one you're using and mark the hole. And then you're gonna actually punch your hole. Okay. And then we will install our snap. And there is our snap installed. Don't forget to install your custom logo. And now we're going to set that aside and we are going to grab our zipper tape. So we need our zipper tape, we need a ruler and a chalk pencil. In the seam allowance on the left-hand side, we're going to make a mark on both the top and the bottom. Once we make that mark, we are now going to open up the zipper tape enough to fold and make 90-degree angles. Pinch it at the mark, fold it, and line it up with the teeth. And it moved a little bit, so we'll fix that. Pinch it at the mark, fold it, line it up with the teeth. Then we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to baste these zippers at a 90-degree angle. You will see the stitching at the basting on the inside of the pocket. So you want to make sure that your stitching is really nice. So let's take this to the machine and we'll be right back. Okay, we got it sewn. It's nice and neat on each side. We do want to trim these to make them even, and then we're going to singe the ends. So let's trim that off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our ruler and we're going to measure and we're going to mark. Then we want to add our zipper pull. Again, remember which side is on top. This is the easiest way to make sure you get it straight. It's off by 1, and you can see that it's just a little bit cockeyed in there. So we want to pull it up. You gotta go real slow and just feel it click. There we go. So we pull it about halfway. The reason we drew this line is because we're now going to take this to the machine and we're going to sew about an 1/8 inch inside here to close off the zipper tape so that it won't open back up. So let's take it to the machine and just sew across to close it up. All right, we've sewn across back and forth. So now our zipper pull will not come off. But we marked that line because we are going to trim that off. So we're going to cut right on that line we drew. And we're going to singe the tape so that it doesn't come unraveled. Now we're going to take our zipper tab and fold it in half. I like to use double-sided tape to make sure it stays in place. But that's going to be totally your preference. If you want to just put clips on and then go sew it, that's fine. And we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to top stitch across the edge here. Now the tutorial also shows you how to use a folded edge technique. This material is just fine to have the raw edge. Okay, our zipper tab is now in place. We're going to set this aside for a moment and we're going to get out our window. Now I left the backing on so you can see what I'm doing. What we need is a ruler and we're going to measure from the left and right edges, and we're going to take our ruler and line it up with this more flat part right here. So you line it up where you want it and you make your mark over here, and you do the same thing with this side. Once you've made your mark, you're going to overlap the zipper tape on it by about 3/8 of an inch. So about here. You just kind of roughly guesstimate it. And it should be exactly between the two marks. And then what I do to hold it in place is I get some masking tape. You could use just some double-sided tape behind it, but the reason I don't like to do that is because you will see it on the inside of the pocket, and I prefer to keep that a clean look. So we'll get this where we want it, and then we're going to stick it down. If you want to use your ruler to see if this edge is lined up, I could actually go down a little more. Now I use several pieces because you will need to peel it off as you sew. That's okay, we'll just go slow and then it'll be exactly where you want it. And there we go. So we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to baste them in place. I just use a regular stitch at 1/8 inch from this raw edge here. Let's take it to the machine. We've sewn it on. This is the point where you add your external snap options. Please follow the written tutorial for those steps. Now we're going to add some double-sided tape right here, basically right where you did your stitching. Then we need our phone accent piece right here. We're going to take the backing off and we're going to match it all up. Got a little loose thread. Let me cut that. Now the raw edge of that zipper is caught between the accent and the window, and you'll see a nice clean raw edge inside of there. You won't see the double-sided tape or anything if you do it this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it to the machine now, and we're going to sew starting around here, come up around the curve, all the way across, and then just barely down the curve. Then we're going to start here on the inside, go up around the curve, back down around the curve, and stop here. Because when we go back later to attach this all together, we will catch from here to here. So you won't have to worry about that. So let's take it to the machine. Before I do that though, I am going to take off the paper backing, and then we'll go to the machine and we will sew around those curves. So there. So we'll take it to the machine and again sew around these curves. If you're worried about it moving, you can always put some masking tape to hold this curve down while you sew this one, and then it shouldn't move at all. Never hesitate to hand crank if you are worried about getting those curves just right, and go as slow as you need to. Leave the tails long. We're doing the top stitching tail finishing technique. And let's do the bottom. All right, we've now sewn the top and the bottom of the accent piece. So what we'll do now is take our double-sided tape and put it along the bottom on the right side. Then we need our slip pocket lining, and the bone slip pocket lining is the smaller of the two. So we take that one and affix it right sides together. At the bottom. So you want this piece wrong side up. You want them right sides together, right here along the bottom straight edge. And we're going to take it to the machine and we're going to sew along this line. Now that we've sewn it, we're going to set it aside for just a moment. We're going to take out now the phone pocket lining. We're going to place it wrong side up. Get your ruler, and on the short edges, you need to make a mark. Well, draw a line. And we're going to put some double-sided tape along these edges, and then we're going to fold these in to the line. I like to actually make the crease before I take the backing off so that I don't stick it down in the wrong place. You can always double check and make sure that your foam pocket is the right length now. And it is. Now, you're going to lay your foam pocket lining right side up with the long straight edge at the top here. And you're going to center and align it. See, this is the front. You're going to center it and align it with the long straight edge of your zipper tape. You want the zipper tape also right side up. So right side up, center it and align it, and then clip it in place. And I just kind of roughly guesstimated, so I'm going to measure and make sure that I'm centered. We're going to take this to the machine and we're going to baste these together. Be sure that you pay attention to the pattern for your seam allowance recommendation. Now that we have basted the lining onto the zipper tape, we're going to turn the whole thing wrong side up, and we are going to fold it right at your stitch line. Now, this is for some of your future steps. It actually helps a lot to have this creased. Go ahead and crease it now. Okay, now we're going to turn it back right side up. And I like to have it facing me right here. And we're going to put some double-sided tape. I know this pattern has a lot of double-sided tape, but it just makes it so much easier to not have to worry about shifting. Okay. With the double-sided tape right along your edge here, you're going to take your interior fabric and you're going to line it up at the stitch line, but you do want it to slightly overlap so that you are hiding the stitches. So you center it and overlap it just slightly and stick it down. Okay, now that that's in place, we're going to take it to the machine and we are going to baste it right along the edge of the interior fabric. Let's take it to the machine. Okay, What we're going to do now, we've sewn this in place. We're going to turn this over right side up, and we're going to fold down this lining. Now, that is the reason we creased it earlier, because you can see now it lines up perfectly on each side. And we're going to clip these in place. With these clipped in place, we're now going to flip it wrong side up. And I'm going to go ahead and unzip it so that the tab will be out of the way. We're going to take our exterior, the zipper side, and we're going to line it up slightly above the interior, covering all of the wrong side. We're going to clip it in place on both sides. And with the zipper unzipped, you can actually put a few clips up here. Okay, and we're going to take it to the machine, and we're going to start just on the side of the curve, come up and around, go all the way over, and then just around the curve, just barely. And we're going to take it to the machine, and we'll be right back. Remember, this is a top stitch length. You're going to be doing the tail finishing and top stitching technique, so you want to be sure that you leave your threads long, and they will be seen on both the top and the underside. All right, so now that we have sewn along the zipper tape and the exterior is now attached, we can undo our clips. What we're going to do now is we're going to work on this slip pocket here. So not the exterior, not the interior, this slip pocket. We're going to work on the wrong side. So what you do is you take your ruler and you measure, and then you make your mark. Once you've done that, you're going to take some double-sided tape, line it up along the edge. I think the tutorial says along right under the line you just drew, but it'll be in the same place. And then you're going to remove the backing, fold it up to the line, and affix it to the double-sided tape. Now the reason I stopped right here at this fold is because once you get up here on this side, we're going to trim right here. I'm going to cut right here into that to reduce some bulk in the corner. Let's press our seam. See that bulk there? We're just going to snip right into the corner there. And that reduces all that excess bulk. Okay. Now what you're going to do is turn this over to the wrong side of the window. Okay? The wrong side of the window. We're going to unzip your zipper here. And we're going to affix double-sided tape from this edge to this edge at the bottom of the wrong side of the window. This is the part that gets just a little bit tricky, but it's not hard at all. You're going to take off your backing, and we're going to be working with this lining that we just folded in. And what you do, you want the wrong side to attach to right here, right at the stitch line. So the easiest way to do that is just to roll it over. Line it up with the stitch line and affix it to your double-sided tape. Now, it's a little bit dark in there, but all you got to do is line it up with the stitch line all the way across and stick it down. Now we're going to take these clips off, and we're going to fold right here, both sides, right at the stitch line, and fold this up. You'll need to have just a little bit of about an 1/8 inch normally is what I'd say of the clear vinyl coming away from the stitch line. Just fold it like that and put a clip. Just finagle it a little bit till you get it where you want it. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to sew right across this fold right here. It's a top stitch, so just make sure it's on your top stitch length. And you want to make sure to catch this that's only stuck on by the double-sided tape. So right over that and catch it with the top stitch. Don't forget that you need to leave your tails long for the top stitching and tail finishing technique. As you can see, we have now sewn our stitch line along the fold here. And then we're going to look inside here, and this is open. This is going to pretty much fit right into the crease. But if you notice, I've got these little corners here on both sides. So I'm going to trim those. And then I also noticed that I have a little bit of overhang here, which I'm not going to want to show. So I'm going to also trim that. Just be careful that when you're trimming, you don't trim too much because you want to catch it in your top stitch at the end. So I'm going to trim that and I'll be right back. All right, we've trimmed it up. It's now real nice and neat edges here. And if you turn it over, it fits perfectly right into the crease. So we're going to pull this out. And we're going to line this edge right here with some double-sided tape. That's really all that's going to be holding it in, that and the fact that you're going to have the sides sewn. There's really no reason for it to move. All right, it's held in place. Now we're going to move on to the final assembly. Because we're using the bulk reducing option, we're going to turn it up like this, and we're going to need to fold these tabs right here. I'm going to Move this out of the way for a second. We're going to fold these tabs even. We're going to put some double-sided tape right there on the edge and fold it in. Now we're going to get some bigger double-sided tape, and we're going to just kind of place it all around different places. Then we're going to take our exterior and we're going to make sure that we have it lined up right, and we're going to actually stick it down. So let's take off the double-sided tape adhesive backing. I don't know if you noticed, but I don't have my corners rounded. I do that at the end. I clip it off at the very end. You want to add some double-sided tape here on each long edge. I like to use the skinny stuff here. Right along the edge. Backing. And stick it down. Keep it as even as you can along the edges. Then you're going to take your other pocket and you're going to align the outer edge with the double-sided tape, and we're going to stick it down. I like to reinforce this part with clips. Okay, last part is this phone pocket. I know you noticed that it's a little wider, and that's so that we can give it some depth. With your zipper unzipped, I like to start on the open end and push it in right here where I want it. Okay. I want it right even with the top edge. You should look for your curves. We will trim this in a few minutes and clip it. And you notice it kind of bubbles up, and that's exactly what we want. We're gonna clip it close together and clip it all the way down. We can always come back and maneuver it a little bit, manipulate it however we need it. There we go. All right, And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Just squeeze it into place here where you want it. See, it kind of closes it off. It's exactly what you want it to do. It's exactly how we want it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use a narrow foot. You want the narrowest foot you have because you're going to want to come from here all the way down and around and all the way back up to here. And we're going to use a top stitch, and this is the only stitch that holds the rest of this together. So you want it to be a strong stitch. You also need to make sure that you take your time, because you will see that on the exterior of the bag. You do want to sew with the inside up, right? I guess you'd call it the wrong side because it's the inside, but you want the inside facing up when you sew because of these humps. Now, when you get all the way around and you're done, you will see the bobbin side on your exterior. So make sure that your bobbin side is the color thread and everything else that you want. So we are going to use the top stitching and tail finishing technique on this at the ends. And let's just take it to the machine and get going. Don't forget, leave your threads long. You're doing the top stitching and tail finishing technique. And take your time. This is no race. When I get to where the pocket ends and begins, I always back stitch at least there. All right, we have just sewn around the perimeter. We have our foam pocket here. We have our slip pockets behind the foam pocket and behind the card slot pocket. If you go around and you look, there will be places where you'll need to trim. So we're going to go around and we're going to actually trim any excess that's hanging off and just clean it all up, and we'll be right back. We have it all trimmed down nice and even all the way around. Very pretty finish. Now, if you want to finish it off even better, you could grab some Mojo Sews paint and coat the edges and make a real nice finish around the edges. So that's an option. Another thing you can do is you can add connectors up here and make it into a crossbody. Another type of connectors you could use are these mini D-ring connectors, and put a grommet here, a rivet here, and that would be a good connection point. You could do 2 of those. And let's show you how it works. So we can load it up with cards. ID window. First card. Just to show you that even if you didn't do the phone pocket and you just did the slip pockets, a phone will perfectly fit in the slip pockets. So this is the old 6S Plus, so it's a pretty decent sized phone. And it will fit inside of the phone pocket. And you can operate it through the phone pocket. And you have your snap on the exterior, but it does not affect the ability to get to your phone. And then you have your zipper pocket on the back for your change. And with the accordion feature, it allows you to get in there easier and get whatever you need out. And there you go. There is your Faith clutch. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as we enjoyed sharing it with you. If you like what you saw, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to like and share. And while you're at it, check out some of our other tutorials. We love to see your creations, so please share and tag Cherishing Today when you do. And don't forget to join our Facebook group, Cherishing Today Designs, for more inspiration.